The drill. This is number 81. Today, my beautiful guest, Christia. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
So welcome, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more, and these guys as well, to get to know you a little bit more as well. You're doing some incredible things. I love the Kebon Vintage Market, the Car Vintage Market. I love it. All right, so
we
guys,
love you too there.
little plug there. So guys, we're here every Monday 7 p.m. So feel free to tune in by Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and whatever else, and Instagram Live as well. So let's get this started. So
All right.
so Christia, this is part of our our Indonesia series, right? So Destination Indonesia series. It's about people maybe who are at home, maybe overseas, don't really know Indonesia like we do, and we want to give them like a great idea and impression and understanding of what Bali and Indonesia is also about. Okay, so maybe if we start, where were you born, and how many people in your family? And
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Christia. I was born in Jakarta, and it's me and my younger brother and my parents. My parents moved from Jakarta about 20 years ago to Bali. So, yeah, I've been living in Bali for the past 20 years. Yeah, Bali is home now for us.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now this one you can definitely pronounce far better than I can.
Mm-hmm.
But that unity in diversity.
Yeah, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. That's our country slogan, which means unity in diversity.
Yeah, and I love that, right? And that's
we love it too.
Yeah, like that's a massive reason, by the way. Plagiarizing on the bottom of our, if you're watching from YouTube, you'll see that unity and diversity, and that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
Like I was always about unity is power, right?
So true.
Yeah, but then when I saw that, it just gave me shivers, and I just felt compelled to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the essence of Indonesia, right? So that's why Indonesia recognized the 5 different religions here. That's just an example. And, in Bali, everyone's a melting pot here. So unity and diversity should be, done through actions in our lives in Indonesia. But, with everything that's going on right now, it's a good reminder for us all that unity really is power. And that can save a lot of people and save lives, through unity. Yeah.
And one of the things which I believe really connects us is that, I love what you're doing on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
Kebon.
Kebon Sunday Market.
Sunday
Hello,
Market, baby.
What up?
Well, love it. It's an incredible place. If you haven't checked it out yet, you got to go. And but what connected me to you, part of what connected me to you was when we spoke about that, and you told me the reason that you were doing it and why it was important. Could you share that with the guys here?
Okay. So Kebon Vintage Cars is our place. It's a new destination for tourism in Bali that we're doing, where we're building a vintage car museum. And actually, because of this pandemic, our main business is event production, which is audiovisual rental. And, because of the pandemic, every event was canceled. So we had to be creative in using our resources and manpower. And because of the pandemic, actually, we took that opportunity to build Kebon this year. And we used all the manpower left to build our museum. And actually, the Sunday market started in September because, every business has suffered, right? And a lot of people have lost their jobs. So I started this idea of, maybe we'll do like a fun like secondhand markets, vintage markets, since it's related to Kebon. But then when we opened up the registration, all of these micro businesses and entrepreneurs registered. In 2 days, we had 40 micro businesses who registered. And I thought, okay, maybe not only vintage, or secondhand tenants, we should have all the micro businesses just join, since we have the venue. And so we created this business model, and it's already been 2.5 months now. So every Sunday we have this program, and yesterday was our 11th time. And from the first time we did it, we had 40 tenants, and now it's growing. Yesterday we had 85 tenants, and we just collected the database for the past 2 months. We had 330 new entrepreneurs who actually applied. And it's amazing to see that due to this pandemic, everyone is like, they're thirsty for offline selling, right? Because, sometimes you can't just rely on online selling. And we had the mission of helping this. In Indonesia, we call it UMKM, which means Usaha Mikro Kecil Menengah, which is micro, smaller scale businesses. And those are the people who are trying to survive during this pandemic, because most of them lost their jobs. And especially in Bali, hospitality and tourism is our main industry, right, in Bali. And if you come to the Sunday market, you realize how many hotel people who have lost their jobs are selling like noodles, selling like new foods, or creating new handicrafts in their homes. So there are so many home businesses that are really cool. And I think it's really cool to see how new entrepreneurs are growing during this pandemic, and they could take that opportunities that exist due to this pandemic. So it's been really interesting to see during the Sunday market. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you've given the opportunity, and and the conversation that we had. The thing that stuck in my head was that at one point you were not sure if it's going to work. Yeah. You wasn't sure if people were going to come. You wasn't sure where it was going to go, but you felt a need, like a deeper need to kind of do it. Once you realized how many micro businesses of people who have lost their jobs, this was their chance, right? And like human beings are amazing, right? So if we're given hope, like we can walk through fire, right? But just a little bit of hope. So what you're giving is hope, to a lot, and just to see it grow and be part of that growth over this period of time is incredible.
Yes, because everyone's having crisis this year, right? Financially and mentally. And I think it's important to nurture hope, because a lot of people are depressed, and we're so grateful that a lot of people are collaborating with us because they support our mission. For example, all the musicians, they actually approach us, and they wanted to play to entertain these people because they want to help nurture their hope, right? And the beautiful thing is when you hear all their testimonies. One of examples was one of the tenants was saying, "Oh, thank you so much for like giving us the space. I came home like really happy, even though they didn't really sell anything. They felt really happy, and that's the seed you need to give through people, right? They go home happy. They spread that happiness to their kids, to their wife. It's instead of feeling depressed and grumpy. So I thought, okay, this is gonna be a good purpose, and we're passionate. And like we said before, if you have purpose and passion, you can do powerful things. And that's really impactful. You have to start in your community first, right? And it's amazing how it's not only what they're selling is the point. Throughout this whole 2 months, they actually made so many connections through the Sunday market. For example, I got to know this person from this hotel because he's a tenant next to me. Like, I didn't know he was from, let's say, Alila, or, other hotels, or maybe other businesses that they wouldn't have the chance to meet. And I thought, wow, like, it's actually developing really nicely, and that means it's impactful to them, right? And one of them, like, a couple of tenants told us that they actually got clients from the Sunday market. For example, somebody approached us to take our recycled bags, work together, and export them to France. It doesn't matter if they're selling 200,000 in one day, right? But what matters is their brand awareness, and like what we're providing is, okay, you just connect and network. And one more is like, I got to supply my food to this new client, who is a restaurant, because they came to us at the Sunday market. So it's really funny because it's different than online businesses now, like how you approach things are different. The way you sell is different. The way you persuade people are different, So it's interesting to socially experiment on that, yeah.
And on that social experiment, I was talking to you and your beautiful man, Morgan, earlier on. Incredible guy, great energy. And the thing that became apparent was this understanding that in some ways we're doing exactly what we need to do, and then looking at you a little bit and scratching a little bit more beneath the surface, So you've also studied psychology, right? And so can you tell us a little bit about how that happened and why psychology?
Well, psychology is my passion. I think that's my passion in life. I've been wanting to be a psychologist since I was like 8 years old. I've always been, I want to help people. I love people. And then I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. So I did my bachelor's, but then I got into my family business, which is events production. And it's really hard to get out of events industry. Once the ball is rolling, you just can't stop. So finally, I just decided, forget all my idealisms of being a psychologist. I'm just going to do what feels right to me and see psychology as like my hobby. So it's a change of perspective, because some people feel like once they have an idealism in their head, they keep fighting with themselves, right? Is this right for me? Is this what I'm supposed to do in my life, So finally I thought to myself, I actually love this job. So I have to get rid of all that idealism and compromise with myself. So that's what brought me here, I guess. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that, quite often we have these conversations with ourselves, but we're too close to see the bigger picture. And so what comes across to me immediately is the fact that you're still doing psychology, right? So when you spoke just earlier on about, about the people coming to the markets and about what they were learning, where you went immediately was mental health, basically, which is what people are not talking about, right? So you're doing psychology on a massive scale. You're not seeing people one by one. You're seeing people 300 at a time, right? That's what you're actually doing, right?
Which we didn't really realize, I guess.
Yeah. Very quick for me, what brought me to events was children's homes growing up when I was younger, 18 years, and Sunday we had this incredible time where all of these kids from very different backgrounds used to hang out in our back garden, and we would play football and we'd do all this stuff, right? And it was funny because, in life, we really didn't like each other. Didn't. But on Sundays, like Switzerland, so then it felt like we drop our ego at the door. We drop our idealism, right, about what another person is like, what they look like, what they sound like, how much money they have, all of these preconceptions which were completely wrong, but at the time didn't realize that. And that time of playing football in the back garden was a time where we come together in an environment of amnesty, of people inspire people, and unity and diversity. All of that was present, and that's what brought me to have a massive career in events. I've done 2,000 events, whatever, but like it's
amazing, man.
But it's the same for you. Like that psychology, right? You're still there. You're still doing it, and you said it's my passion, right? Yeah. And guess what? Like you're doing it on a massive scale. I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Like it's really powerful. So going a little bit further back. So then, what was your life like? Because quite often, maybe there's something in our lives that draws us into this area. So you mentioned at the age of 8, or that you wanted to be into psychology. So what was behind that, do you think, and what was driving that?
I think because I had some good role models in my life. I had my older grandparents they're a couple, and one was a psychiatrist, and the wife is a psychologist until now. So they're like the most patient people I know in my life. They talk so softly, and they listen to you carefully. They're attentive to you. So I thought, oh my God, I want to be like them. Like, they're such a good role model to me, and it stuck in my head since I was young. And I think I was around some people who are going through mental health issues, and they tend to, gravitate towards me. And then it felt like I had a purpose. But then, throughout my life, it never really changed. So I took that path. And with events, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different ball game. Because, you have to be fast. You have to think proactively. You have to think solution-based, fast. Everything is now high pressure. So it really made me stronger. And psychology, you can use it anytime, right? You're dealing with people all the time, and you're dealing just with different types of crazy people. So not crazy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and it's good to study that still. Yeah.
So then where would you say that your strength comes from? Because from the get-go, I get a sense, like my partner Marina, a very strong woman, I get a sense strength straight away. Yeah. With you, it's the same, right? Mm-hmm. And so where do you think that comes from, that inner strength? Like, was there something that happened to you when you were younger, some defining moments? What comes up for you when I say that?
I think my inner strength comes from my upbringing. My parents definitely played a huge part in my life. My faith definitely helps me to have that inner strength. I'm very happy and glad that I don't have any special story that changed my life. I didn't really have that, but I was just a happy kid, and I thought, I learned throughout life that if you want to give people love, you need to you have to fulfill love within yourself, right? That's how you can give love. And I think I found quite a good capacity in myself to give. So my parents always taught me, don't be afraid to give, because once you're not afraid to give, everything will be given to you easily. So it stuck in my head since a long time when I was young. So don't be afraid to give, everything will be given to you. So, I think that kind of rings a bell since I was young. Yeah. So, okay, I'm taken care of somehow. So yeah. I'm not afraid to give. Yeah.
A little story comes up. So I've met your father, mm-hmm. and I've seen him walking around the markets for many weeks, and always seems to be a person who's always showing people around hospitality, right? Yeah. And then yesterday, he came up and just said, look, thank you so much, and just acknowledging us for coming and supporting and doing. But I was really touched by it, because, he looks like a person who, when he trusts, he goes the whole way. Yeah. Until then, he'll be polite, but he'll just be watching, right? So I felt really grateful, yeah. right, that he came up. And then after that, when you explained to me that he doesn't really speak English, then I felt even more grateful, because I learned a few different languages, still working on the Bahasa, yeah. right? And still working. And, but I understand that you understand more than you can speak. Yeah. And it takes something, right, to actually go up to somebody and to speak in a language that's not yours. Yeah. So just, true. Yeah. So then, what do you think, if I asked you, so what did you get from your mum, and what do you think came through your dad?
Wow, it's just like psychotherapy here. So my love it. Well, my dad he plays a huge role in my life. He's like my hero, since I was young. He doesn't speak much, but he's a powerful person to me. Like he has this. He's very kind and loyal. I learned about loyalty from him. I learned about, you need to be kind. You need to be genuine to people, but you need to be smart. Okay, so that's what my parents always teach me. You have to be genuine. Don't have agendas, but you need to be smart. They tried to teach me from when I was young, because kids tend to be so naive, right? And my mom, my parents are both very social. They have very high social intelligence, I think. And my mom, she has, I think, very high emotional intelligence. So I try to learn from that, and intuition, I learned from my mom. But from my dad, he's a very logical person. And I think one of the reflections I had a couple years back, since I was growing up, because I'm a woman, right? I'm a girl who is trying to lead this company with, we have, 150, 200 staffs. And most of them, in my industry, our industry is very male-oriented, right? Very male-dominated. And, women sometimes we feel weak, right? And I tend to use my emotions a lot as a woman. But, my dad kept telling me, when to use your emotion and when to use your logic. And I had this reflection, okay, I need to learn. This is powerful to me. Because if you know when to use which ones at the right time, I think you'll go through life easier. I think that's important. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm loving this. So if I was a woman watching now, and hearing you speak is beautiful, by the way, and thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Right, really powerful. Before, off camera, there's a few people here, Denise, Ilsa, a few very powerful women over here as well. I'll get you afterwards. So what would you say, right? So if, it's a young woman growing up, okay, and she's about to enter the world, what things you mentioned about emotions and things like that, how or what do you think they could start by doing to learn how to do that?
To separate emotion and logic?
Yeah, to nurture that, to come to a place where they can use it. Right? Yeah.
Well, I think the first point is to acknowledge your own feelings. That's the first step. Because sometimes we deny our feelings a lot, or we deny our beliefs a lot to fit an ideal thing, right? And I think before you need to take yourself out. This is like a trick I do to myself. I take myself out of the situation, and then I try to see it in a bigger picture. Because when you're we call it in Indonesian, you're wearing a horse glasses. When horse, they only see blinkers. They don't see the sides, right? So I try to open my eyes and think, okay, this is only one side of the situation. What other holistic? You try to see it holistically. I mean, once you try to see it, I think it will make you feel a lot better, because you think it's not worth your emotions sometimes. Or there are times you should nurture your own feelings, right? When you relate to people, when you're with your partner, your kids. But there are times that you have to use your head instead of your emotions, because it can backfire on you. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you for that. And before you mentioned, and we'll move on to business in a minute. Before you mentioned about your faith, right? So when I ask you about faith, what comes up for you?
Well, faith is something to me that I can hold on to. That faith to me is, I guess, believing in what you can't see, right? So I think that's when you have faith in yourself. Like whether you have proved yourself or not, you have to keep believing it. That's like manifestation, right? You need to believe it before you see it, so then it happens. Like you have to believe that. That's faith to me. And I grew up as a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe that there's a higher power outside of me who's taking care of me. And you know, I'm open as a person. I'm not, you know, I feel like faith is so important because when you have that to hold on to, you feel like you have a strength. That's what you touched on before. You feel like, okay, I have a strength to, I mean, it's very deep, and I think it's a personal experience. I can't judge. It's my experience. Your experience is different. You know, some people understands faith as they grew older or when they were younger. I think it's very personal. So it's for example, if you believe in God, I feel like it's your own personal belief, not what everyone thinks you should believe, right? It's a personal experience. Like, oh, I can talk to my God as a friend or something. You know, it's very personal to me. Yeah.
I can really relate to that. And thanks for asking as I said, the questions that they just come drop in. I just ask the question.
Yeah.
Don't know where they come from. God, lad.
Good questions.
Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you. But I love that, right? So it's like, you know, like our connection to God is our connection, right? And regardless of what we believe. And it's okay. I was listening to a guy called Dr. Deepak Chopra. I'm pretty sure most people here know about Dr. Deepak Chopra. And it's part of the 5-day pivot. A good friend called Richard Harrington, who was on this a few weeks ago, is on it with Tony Robbins, Deepak, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, and Richard. And Deepak, in an hour yesterday, kind of broke down the whole of consciousness and how it all relates. And it was just, I had to listen to it twice. Still didn't get it all, right? But I had to listen to it twice. But amazing.
Sleep through it.
Yes, I fell asleep the first time. You're right. It was like it was pretty late though. But amazing, you know, how he's connected it together and come up with I guess a way of being that is, you know, we are. You know, there is God within us. Yeah. You know, there's God within us, and we're part of. It's actually the same. And he was quoting different scientists and went into a lot of detail, as Deepak does, in that beautiful Indian accent. Yeah. But it left me with a really empowered perspective, you know, on what it is and the fact that we're capable of almost anything if we believe.
True, exactly.
Yeah, wow. So look, so then coming forward into your business life. Yeah. So you born in Jakarta, then you're coming through psychology, then great parenting. Love your parents even more now, and then you came to Bali, the family business. So what was your biggest challenges? You know, it's Focus Productions, right? That's the name of your company.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were your biggest challenges coming into that in the first year or so?
Harsh life of backstage life, bro. It's like high pressure. You know, we have to realize events, right? We have to realize everyone's creativity. So because we're events production, so event organizers hired us, right? We're the ones who have to deliver and make things happen for, you know, the event. So one of the biggest challenges is, of course, dealing with a lot of people as a group, because we have a big team, and in events everything it's a group, you know. You have to have a group mindset. You can't have an individualistic mindset, right? And I learned that a lot. So yeah, those are some of the biggest challenges, dealing with different clients. Really opened up my eyes to different cultures too. Yeah.
And so for you, like, is there anything, you know, in your mind, maybe in the future, something that you'd love to do or something you'd like to maybe take a few baby steps into?
In like other
in general, now this is we're talking about business at the moment.
Yeah.
It can be personal too.
Yeah.
But what comes up for you. So you've got this great company. You're doing some great events, and we'll talk about Bali Revival next.
Yes.
But is there anything there in your mind? It's like, you know what? I've always wanted to do that type of event or that thing. I haven't done it yet, but I've always wanted to do it.
Well, I think normally before the pandemic, we're the ones doing other people's events, right? We do like conferences. We did all the concerts, the conferences, but like Bali Revival, touching on that, it gave us the opportunity this year gave us the opportunity to actually do our own event through a very purposeful mission. And I think that was one. And hopefully we're doing next. We're doing more next. I hope we can do more of those, events, collaborating with local artists. And, I think one of the things that I remind myself a lot is in this day and age, especially in Indonesia, you need to think global and act local. So that's very important. A lot of people are very westernized or, with globalization, but you also cannot forget your own home ground, right? Everyone around you locally. That's what I hope to bring up next. Yeah.
And then, so some people here might not know what Bali Revival is.
Yeah.
So if you can maybe explain what Bali Revival is and maybe where the idea came from.
Okay, so it came out, this idea, I think we started from June this year. We've been toying with this idea because, we had no events this year, right? Everything was canceled. And we were also thirsty of like concerts, like real life concerts. And everyone is doing virtual stuff right now. And if you do a drive-in concert and you still listen through radio, it's a whole different experience of listening through an 80,000 watt sound system with your heartbeats during the concert. That's a whole different experience. And so with we have this, spirit to, that's why we call it Bali Revival. I came out with this idea, okay, what should we call this? Maybe we need to revive Bali again because we call in Indonesia mati suri. You're like temporarily dead right now, right? Like you can wake up actually. But so I thought, okay, let's call this event Bali Revival. And we finally did it with the help of all our artist friends, all the musicians locally, and Bali has so many amazing musician and talents. So we wanted to, let's take this time to showcase them, and what can we do to adapt during this time? This is like a high-level adaptation that we tried to do, and this is already like a high compromise. How do we do events right now that, is compromising, not touching people, or at least, you have to be in certain boxes. We did Bali Revival, and finally we got supported by the government as well in the end. It was a drive-in picnic concert. So we tried to compromise as best as we can, not to have people inside the cars watching the concert through radios, because you can just watch YouTube, So we finally collected some sponsors who wanted to help, and it was a very humbling experience because everyone united through collaboration, and everyone, you could feel the unity through, let's have the same spirit to revive together. And I could feel that so strong with everyone, musicians, all of them are, let's go, let's do this thing. And we have to show that we're not asleep. We're waking up slowly, and we want to stimulate Bali's economy through this. Somebody needs to do it first, right? So then, and plus, we didn't want to make a standard. because sometimes it can boomerang to ourselves, right? Having standards. So we thought, okay, what can we do to compromise with the protocols and all that? So finally we did a 3-day festival in Ubud in Monkey Forest. It was in a rooftop. It was so amazing. The place is amazing. It's on top of this whole forest in Ubud. We built a huge stage with, so people come in cars. So every day, only 70 cars can join. 4 people max inside the cars. And you can actually get out of the cars to watch the concert. So you are in your own box, right? So some people brought in their pickup trucks and they brought in, like picnic chairs, and like they brought in their whole kit for picnics while watching concerts. And we did it on Independence Day as well. I think that gave people cried during the event because we had fireworks and everyone was holding. That was like high nationalism day for us, because you could feel that, merdeka is the word. You feel free. You felt free for a moment in that time, because right now everyone felt trapped, right? Everyone felt trapped with this pandemic. And at that moment, we have this song in Indonesia called Kebiar Kebiar, and the song was sang by Navikula, the band Navikula. They're this amazing rock band. Everyone held their flags, and we had fireworks, and everyone just cried, all the audience, because they felt so free at that moment. And they could feel, okay, let's get up, and like we can still have high spirit during this pandemic, like don't stop living because of this pandemic. Yeah, so this is already a compromise. Yeah.
What I get from you, all I hear is psychologist. Right? You got it? All I hear, right?
That's your preconception.
I love it. I know. But let me explain, right? So we said earlier on before about women, what can we do to attain the state? First thing you said was you need to feel it. Don't ignore the feeling, right? So be acknowledgement. Acknowledgement before you can change it. And we spoke before about wanting to help people. Spoke about mental health, about people feeling good, hope, right? Your events, that's what they do. Right? So you said in Monkey Forest, right? People felt that they could cry, right? Felt they could just let it go. Yeah. Felt like they were...
For one moment, you're not trapped inside the house.
Right. Do you know how powerful that is? Whoever went is probably still talking about it now, and we'll talk about it for a long time, because you were able to respond in the moment with an experience that gave people the chance to feel, to acknowledge where they're at, and just to go deep into that, to feel proud of being Indonesian.
So true.
Right?
Yeah. Because a lot of people now, you're so right. That's a great point. A lot of people now, we're so influenced by other countries, right? And they forget their roots. And now, during this pandemic, everyone comes back. Actually, this is one of the lessons during this year. You come back to what's important to you in your life. Shed all the unimportant stuff, right? So you come back, okay, this is what's really important to me. Need to hold on to this. And yeah, you feel like at once you're proud being an Indonesian, and with this whole situation in our industry, man, like you have to think locally, like I said, because right now the government can't really rely on like outside tourists too, right? And Bali needs to wake up too, because we've been so dependent on tourism and hospitality. 80% of the businesses here, whereas they forget the other 20%, which is agriculture and all of that. We need to expand that more, actually, to back us up with the hospitality industry. If you lose this 80%, you can't just rely on this 20%. But yeah, what I was saying, now everyone's doing agriculture, for example, because they realize, okay, I can plant my own coffee in my own backyard, or I can plant my own, food at home. So I think people are coming back to that and realize in the future, what's the business that can be stable enough without, even through a pandemic? what's your resilience, So yeah, again, the mission is to show that we're resilient in these times, and that resilience and creativity is also important. Like all these musicians, they're still creating now. They don't stop. So that's what you need to nurture, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for that, right?
Yeah.
You're doing incredibly well, right?
Thank you.
Like you're feeling comfortable and
very comfortable with you.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. So last week we had a guy called Wahyu Taufik. If he's watching, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but he's a good guy. And the thing which I love about him as well is his, I would call it nationalism, but not for the sake of global or unity consciousness. Not for the sake of that. It's a healthy nationalism. And what he's doing is that, he's building, he's extremely passionate about the next generation education, realizing that, in 20, 30 years, number third economy in the world will be here in Indonesia. The fact that it's one of the only countries in the world where I've been where they take someone like Nadim, right, who's Gojek, a decacon, didn't even know that was a word before last week, right? An incredible company, and then took that guy who the kingpin and made him education minister. I think that is a huge step. A huge step, and it's really cool. And then what he was telling us was that it's one of the only nations on earth which has a huge majority of people underneath the age of you call it productivity age. So basically there's a massive labor force to draw from in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. For sure. And then he spoke into about the Indonesian culture is one of being extremely good learners. Extremely good, and that now, and he really wants to be a stand for that, right? Which to me, I was like in tears, like I was goose pimples, tears, everything, and I'm just like, fuck, I love hearing that. And he's 28 years of age. He's built 8 companies. He's doing so much. He's putting a digital nomad visa through Parliament as we speak. An incredible guy, one of the most complete people I've met, and he's 28. God.
Wow.
Dang,
that's amazing. Shout out to Wahyu.
Yeah, like you guys have got to hook up. You got to meet up, right? And I'd love to be the bridge, because part of what this whole thing is about, as I mentioned to you before, is that I feel more and more and more that life is like a big jigsaw puzzle, right? And we've all got a part to play. We've got a piece or more than one that we can put into this beautiful painting, and it's bigger than all of us, and what's created is far larger than the sum of its parts, right? And the glue which unites all of it is trust and being in service of others.
So true.
And being good at what you do, being proud of what you do, and doing and stepping up to do what you were born to do, right? And we've all got this, right? We've all got this thing that we're really good at, right? We've all got it. It's just that sometimes we don't give ourselves the time or the permission to dig deep and find it. And in a time like this, like what you were saying, like the world, for whichever reason, has been put on pause, right? And it's caused a lot of us to say, hey, hang on a second, here's a mirror. So I'm going to look at myself, what I'm doing, what I'm about, what I'm driven by, who I want to spend time with, and then dipping into that and coming up with an answer which can then take us really powerfully forward in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
So true. Yeah. Definitely. And I think it needs a lot of flexibility at this time. You need to remind yourself to be flexible, and you need to adapt. I think it reminds people to adapt and stop being in your comfort zone, right? Everyone's like being slapped in the face and say, get out of this comfort zone. What are you going to do with your life right now? Because this is an emergency state situation that we're all dealing with right now. I mean, most of us, we're all in a crisis, but I think a lot of people will have a lot of great personal developments this year, I feel. And what you said with Wahyu as well, I think what he's doing is great, and we're actually the same age. Like, I'm same age as Wahyu.
Another complete person.
No.
What the heck?
No, it's like, so... No. He's still on the way. But, we're all still learning, and I think that's why we need to use our youth now. Like, I think, a lot of people say YOLO, right? I think YOLO to me is like, you need to make your life worthwhile. That's what you need to do, not YOLO and like throw your life away. That's the whole concept of YOLO to me. But I think I realized that everyone's purpose is different in life. What you're good at is different. Use that, identify that greatness in yourself and use it. And I think once you realize that living a life in the surface for others, that's what's meaningful. That's what a meaningful life is, right? And I think not everyone feels, like you said before to me, you're your own harshest critic, right? A lot of people have that, including me sometimes, and you just need to identify what's your weakness and what's your strength. That's very important. Because if you know your weakness and know your strength, you can go about life easier too, I think, Yeah.
And then I love this psychology. So going back to it, so if we've got some young people watching this, they're just growing up, they're just coming up, then how would you maybe advise them to find this inner confidence and find these this gift that they have, like maybe a couple of steps, how could they start to unravel that?
Well, I mean, everyone's situation's different. I totally understand. Some people are influenced. There are so many factors in our lives, right? Your environment, your parenting, your friends. So some people forget their inner voice because they listen to everyone else. But yeah, I think with younger people, you need to, that was one of the biggest reflections in my life, is to identify your strengths and weaknesses. And if you know you're weak at something, do something with your strengths first and work on your weakness later. Because I feel like with some people try to dwell in their weakness, and that's why they feel like they can't succeed in something. But sometimes you just have to accept that you're just not good at something and do what you're good at, And a lot of people feel like, okay, you can improve a lot, but they realize that they're good at something, but they take it for granted. They feel like, okay, you know what, they have this challenge for themselves, right? But yeah, I always remind myself to identify your own strengths and then use that, follow your heart, and learn as much as possible, open your mind. Don't think like your idealism is what you have to live with. And sometimes when you just knock a little bit out of that box, maybe open up just a little bit in your mind, you can see, oh, okay, there's a whole other world out there that you don't know about, that you might feel attracted to or you might feel attached to. Like I said about that, idealism is so strong for younger people because I've experienced that before, having an idealism about how I want it to be or even how I wanted to live my life. But turns out when you go through life, everything's so different, so you just need to adapt. That's your way of life. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, it's powerful, man. Very powerful. And so just on that, for those who are maybe tuning in from somewhere else, from different country, so whatever comes in your mind, right? So what are some of the things that people coming into Bali or Indonesia coming from somewhere else would be great for them to realize before they come?
You realize about Bali?
Yeah. Whatever comes in your mind.
Before they come to Bali, you mean? Well, I think everyone, before they come to Bali, first you need to know that Bali is not a country. Bali is a part of Indonesia, okay?
I made that mistake so often.
We are not our own country. But you need to be able to you need to respect the locals. That's first. even though you think, oh, I'm a tourist, I'm a foreigner, if I come to Bali, I can, do whatever I want. But no, I think a lot of people, young people now, try to learn about the traditions and respect Balinese culture, because Balinese culture is so beautiful. Like, it's so revolved around respect and art and community. So, like, when before you come to Bali, you maybe learn a little bit about the backgrounds and learn about the culture. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And then, so quickly going back to your business now, and this came from a conversation with Gil yesterday, a good mate, Gil Peterson. If you're watching us now, this one's for you.
Hi, Gil.
Hi, Gil. So, is there anything, so if I were to ask you, right, you're up to something now in life, you're forging ahead, you're helping a lot of people, and you stand for something very strong and powerful and cohesive, right? So quite often what we do is that, we're so busy helping other people that we forget that sometimes we need to help ourselves. And by help, it's not like a help me, I'm dying, not that kind of help, but like help is in support, right? So if I asked you the question, if there's anything that we or people watching could do to contribute to you or to support you in some way, shape or form, what would that be?
You mean with our programs?
Can be anything you feel.
Well, I think for us right now, if you have to come and experience it first, and then how you can contribute. Even you coming every weekend, every Sunday, you and your beautiful family comes to Kebon and, enjoying all these tenants and small micro businesses. You buy food from them or you buy shirts from them. Yes, look at his tropical shirts he got from Kebon Sunday markets. So
7 shirts.
I think he's addicted to these tropical shirts.
You know what? You don't understand. So
we just made him a shopaholic. Yeah, so true.
Look, like so I'm
thanks to Kebon.
I know I'm from London, right? As you know, and like I remember in London, we were like, who buys Hawaiian-looking shirts? Like these guys,
Doesn't
Hawaiian
he look
shirts.
Great in them?
I know. Right? Who buys Hawaiian shirts? So I was the guy who was always saying like,
"You
come
are
on, man.
a changed
who
man.
buys those shirts?" Fast forward a couple of years, I've got like my usual wardrobe of plain colors, lined up, everything like in its place. Like now it's all color, Hawaiian shirt, short sleeves. Look, luckily, like they're quite inexpensive in compared to the things I was doing before. So we can do it. I love the fact that we're supporting, but I actually really, 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 really like them.
Yeah.
Like, I really do.
We get it. Okay.
I know, 7.
We need to make you wear some animal prints next. Oh, yes, they're pretty cool, actually.
What
they're
happened?
in trend right now, Robert.
What happened? Come on, what happened?
You are a changed man coming up from the Sunday markets. Yeah, I mean, we just being there really helps and support. Your presence help. Everyone feels happy to have guests coming, right? They want to present their own products to you. They want to feel like everyone wants to know that they're appreciated, right? So when you're there with your family, I think that you created the whole vibe. It's through the people who come. So yeah, just that's for right now. Your presence, it's already contributing a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We really respect that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ooh. I feel kind of warm inside here. Heart's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But these tropical shirts, like they've got away, right? Yeah. Whereas again, this friend of ours, Gil, was there yesterday, and he was wearing the stuff I used to wear, like linen shirts, and nice. And there he is, like collecting like water, like he's in a bath, right? Just all like you know what I'm talking about, sweat everywhere, right? And I'm in here, and his wife says to me, he's like, Rob, do you not sweat? know,
I've adapted.
Yes, I know. And I was like, look, when in Rome. But like, really, like these shirts, what happens is that, I don't know what it is, but the style of them and the rayon and cotton fabric, right? That the wind comes in, comes out, and you don't sweat. Or the prints are so crazy that you don't see any sweat marks.
Gil definitely needs some tropical shirts now.
So Gil, if you're watching this, my man, you need to buy some of these shirts, seriously. You know? I even told him, listen, Gil, you need to buy one of these shirts. He's like, are they long sleeves? And no, Gil, the short sleeves.
Oh my God, Gil.
You won't get it. But anyway, I'm not going to call him out. I think I just did. Buy the short sleeve, man. Do it.
Not in an office, Gil. You're in Bali. Okay.
When in Rome. Now, so guys, now's the time. If you've got any questions, right? So just have a think of what they are. And what we'll do is that we might get a microphone to you if we have one. We do. Great. So just put your hand up and we'll bring a microphone over. Now with these ones here, so if you talk, doesn't work. So just angle the microphone towards your mouth. You don't have to eat it. If you're hungry, there's a great cafe here, Nomad Cafe, and Tropical Nomad, great food and great coffee, right? So have that there. Don't eat this. So if you do have a question, please put your hand up and we can get that microphone to you. All right.
Oh, by the way, speaking of coffee, next week on Sunday Market, I forgot to touch on that. So we're doing a special Sunday Market next week on the 22nd of November. Because I love coffee, and we're gonna do Kebon Coffee Festival, where we're gonna incorporate two different types of micro businesses from coffee and fashion. So there are really cool distros in Bali with local brands who can show off their brands, and also with coffee, there are new agricultural youth, actually who are planting their own coffee, who are selling their new beans, learn how to roast. So I think there will be about 30 to 40 coffee tenants plus all the other tenants. And we're going to talk, we're going to have a talk show as well and awesome music. So if you love coffee, maybe you can join us next week. We wanted to touch base because coffee is a great commodity now. And we wanted to invoke the spirit of, younger people now to actually work as coffee farmers, because coffee demands in Indonesia is really, really high, and we export to other countries, right? And the percentage of people who want to be farmers now, who do you know now wants to be a farmer? If I ask you, right? So if the demand grows and the next year or so, in the next 15 years, who's gonna plant the coffees basically? Now all the kids want to work in corporates or want to be an Instagram influencer, but we need to invoke this spirit in youth where, hey, these are good business entrepreneur opportunity too. Use your own garden to plant your coffees, and we wanted to talk about that because I think it'll be a good topic for the next generation,
And this next generation focus, I love it. Like it's so powerful. You think of yourself, and that's fine. You need to look after yourself, your family, your community. But this generational view, this long view, is so powerful, and it's one that's essential, right, for us moving forward as human beings, right, to have this longer view on what we're doing. I love it. So, guys, welcome. So, any questions? Any questions? Just put your hand up. Come and see Itchy. He's just behind you. There you go. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So just over here, brother. Yeah. At the front. And Bella, if you could take some photos, that would be great. Photo. Already. Okay.
Yeah. So you've been talking that you've been in business with your father, and you learned a lot. And then being a woman, it was a bit hard for you to, because it's a male-dominant society, and so it would be interesting for me to listen from you. What is that you would like to tell to all these male workers or the male counterparts and the male businessmen, if there is one thing you would like to tell to them, what would be that?
Thank you for the question. That I think to realize that, I mean, women and men are different, right? We have different capacities and different things, but we're equal, of course. And I think nowadays people are not very sexist or, gender. And I think one thing to remind yourself as a man, I guess, is women are pretty strong and they can be very strong too in different ways, and in their nurturing ways they're very strong souls as well, and women can do powerful things, and don't underestimate the power of women. Yeah, girl power. Hashtag girl power. I'm not a feminist. I think men are awesome too. Of course, we need men and men need women. So you just need to remind yourself that, and I think you have to be open. And in this industry, like you said, sometimes maybe people, like men, you have different strengths than women, maybe. You just need to use that in different ways. So, yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, mate.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Anybody?
I got a question.
Yes.
So, just wondering, is there any methodology or secret recipe that you have to creating magical moments in the event business? Moments. That
Great question. Magical moments. Yeah, I think in our events industry, we create happy instances for people, right? You have to create magical moments for people. So I think you need to have like different components, I guess, in what can be memorable for people. You need to touch on what's impactful to them, what they want. You need to know what they want, right? You need to know what touches people. And I think you need to concentrate on that before you make an event. You need to know who your audience is and to create impactful events. Yeah.
Thank you. And just behind you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
You talked a bit about that you want to step up the game and not only produce events, but also like organize and manage them, if I say that correctly. But let's step a little bit further into the future. Is there anything specific, or maybe not specific, because dreams can be dreams and not be super specific yet, that you want to reach? You're 28, right? So let's say by the age of 30.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by like in 7 years or so.
Okay. About events?
No, it doesn't matter. Whatever comes up for you.
Personally.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing that I wanted to learn more was art therapy, because I wanted to do art therapy as a psychotherapy. I mean, sorry, going back to psychology again, but
It's all there, girl. It's all there.
yeah, that's one topic that I wanted to learn, I think, in the next few years if I have the time. But we'll see how things develop with these events. And I think with organizing events, personally, I think my team, we're not like ready quite yet. Once everything is open and we can have events again, I think we're back to gonna work for other people's events for sure, but we're gonna try to keep this Bali Revival going as Bali's festival, and I think I'm pretty optimistic actually for events industry, because right now our human needs of face-to-face is so suppressed, and I think we're gonna make a huge comeback next year. We're gonna make we have to do a huge party after post-pandemic, man. Like I don't know.
Post-pandemic party.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know when this post-pandemic is gonna happen, but I think everyone's so suppressed, like, you know, with social distancing and all that, wearing your mask, of course, we need to be aware of that. But it's so human to like touch someone or be close to someone, right? And because of that pent up needs, I think there's gonna be a comeback for that in the next few years, probably, with events, because everyone's is thirsty to meet up and network. Like if you go to an exhibition virtually, you can't sell your stuff like through a screen. It's so different than, hey, how are you, and like, you know, read your body language and see your facial expression. So in the next few years, I hope to do more events that are impactful, of course, and always have to be impactful for the communities too. And if we can incorporate the social part of it, or, you know, as a holistic, that's always great, you know, instead of just business, money, like we can touch on other things as well. You can still do good things from there. Yeah.
Got it. And, you know, I enjoy what you said. Great question, Ilse. You know, because at the end of the day, I'm a massive believer that human beings, we were designed to be together. We weren't designed to be separated, but we also need time alone, you know, to reflect and to tune in to what's true for us, right? We spoke about God earlier on, whatever God is to you, right? It's time that is quiet time, you know, time that you're not necessarily surrounded by other people, where you can really kind of go deep. You know?
True, yeah.
Yeah. So I love that, because in that depth, I believe, comes a clarity of the fact that we need to be together, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I operate. That understanding that the next 50 years for me is all about, you know, how do I you know, create positive impact for 1 billion plus people, directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
You know, how do I do that? And my mind is always in that direction, and
You're
everything
already
comes
doing
in.
it. Yeah.
Thank you. And so like this, I think, is so important. So the events and what you do with your beautiful psychology, your beautiful background of how your parents did such an amazing job.
Sorry, got sidetracked.
Right? Yeah, such an amazing job of bringing you up and allowing you to find your true north. You know, which is about people and about connecting people and about, you know, mixing culture and understanding and allowing people to be seen for the beauty that they are, to acknowledge their own inner power, right? And to tap into that resilience and all of this, right? Is how I see you, or how I'm feeling you right now. And so you're exactly where you need to be, right? You're on the pinnacle of creating, you know, events that can impact tens, hundreds, thousands, millions, and billions of people ultimately, you know, and so I absolutely love that. So look, what I'm feeling is that more and more now people hear about this word community, and they hear about, I've got to build my community, or I've got to be part of another community or a tribe, right? So my two questions to you is, when I bring up community, the first one is, what does it mean to you?
I think, you might, when you say that, let's not overuse that word, but I think with community is you start with your inner circle, right? I think how I see it, sometimes we focus on your bigger circle first. You forget about your inner environment, like your family, your closest friends. Sometimes you take them for granted, right? You only focus on external things, like your clients, let's say, or your famous friends, or, you know, your outsiders, but you forget about your inner circles, like your neighbors. But you forget that if you make little impacts around these circles, I think you will get more support, like, from the universe. That's how I feel. Like, if you nurture these smaller circles, I'm still learning for that, you know, I'm still learning about that, because you need energy and attention for that, right? So I think once you take care and you respect and you appreciate your inner circles, your circles will get bigger. It will naturally, organically grow. And community to me is that inner circle, actually. Who are the closest people to you or living to you? Let's say if you're in a bigger scale in Indonesia, community is who's living around you first. That's one. And like, who are the local people around you who you can give influence, like fastest is the closest, right? So I think that's community to me, like not just family, but local people around you and your whole community who will be your support system too.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, I get the feeling now that people, they want to build their community,
Yeah.
right? And you've given some great insights for that, to start local. Then the next question would be, there's probably people watching this now thinking events, right? And are looking maybe to get into the industry of events. So then my question to you would be, how can they get involved in the events industry, and which attributes do you think are the most important for someone to have a successful career?
Big question. Well, I'm also still learning about events and people in our events industry. I think if you want to do events, it's not that hard, right? I mean, you just jump and do it. Like you go maybe volunteer for certain events, because events need a lot of volunteers sometimes. Being like an officer, let's say ushers, or get yourself involved and feel it first, because events can take up a lot of your time. And I think attributes, first is flexibility, second solution oriented. Flexibility is events, anything can happen during an event, right? As you know, external factors, as much as you plan an event, something can just happen and ruin something in your event. And you need to be, okay, I need to shift my mind from this planned ideals to what are we going to do now? You can't, sometimes people panic because, oh my God, something doesn't work. So what are we going to do about this? If you get panicked, and panic is one boomerang in events, I think, because it will make everyone else panic and you can't think. So that's what I feel throughout my career, is calm yourself down and think, how are we going to solve this problem? So solution oriented is very important attribute. And adaptation and flexibility, and you need to realize that you're going to be faced with a lot of people in events. So take it positively and use it as your way of networking. And in events, I think you're going to do so amazing with networking. Like, you realize that the events industry is a small world. Everyone knows each other. So yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Now, we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, but we'll do some questions first, if you've got more questions. So before we get this question here, just have a thought, if there's anything that maybe you haven't touched upon that you wanted to, or any advice, something like that comes up for you that you'd like to close with. Now, this is not coming yet. We're going to do a question first and see what comes up, but just have that in the back of your mind, and I'll come to you. So, question. All right.
Hello, yes. So another question popped up. Rob asked you some personal questions, like what you learned from your parents. And I was wondering if you would give advice to your younger self, what it would be.
Wow. It's a deep question.
Yeah.
Love it.
Younger self. Advice. I think I'm gonna say that you're gonna be fine. You're gonna do okay, and just keep staying passionate. Don't lose your fire, because sometimes, my younger self used to feel, we're all insecure, right? And feel like you're not enough or things like that. But I think through my younger self, I'm gonna say that open your mind, like just open your mind and open your heart, because you don't know what's gonna happen around you. And I think I was talking about this with Morgan the other day, that as I grew up and I opened my mind, my life has more colors. I see more colors in my life because I open up my mind to things, and maybe being less conventional, because we were taught certain ways, and yeah, just experience what you need to experience, what you feel like you need to experience, and have no regrets in life. I think that's important.
Amen to that.
Yeah, have no regrets, because you chose that, man. Like, you chose what you wanted to do. So I think once you do something, like, you need to know that you chose to do that and you accept the risks. So don't dwell in regret. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great question. Thank you. I'm going to add that to the list of questions in my mental check note. Though I don't plan any questions, but it's going to be in there. Great question. So look, pretty soon we're going to be wrapping up. So just have a think. I'll do a little bit over here, give you some time just to think if there's anything else that maybe you wanted to say and haven't said, or anything that just drops in. Okay, so for everybody else, next week, give you a bit of a heads up. So we've got a really interesting couple. They're not a couple, actually, they're business partners, and they have an amazing recruitment company here in Bali. And they're two powerful women. One is from Bali and the other one is from Germany. And they've got great dynamic. They're really fun, and I love their approach to life. I've met one of them. I haven't met the other one, so I'm really looking forward to that and seeing what comes up, and if we dive a little bit deeper, see what's underneath the bonnet, because obviously doing that sort of work here in somewhere like Bali, there's a lot of cultural things that you need to be mindful of before you step in, or you'll become pretty much aware of as soon as you do step in, right? So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with them. So that will be here next week, Tropical Nomad, 7 o'clock, 6:45. Come be in the audience if you want, guys, and share this. Feel free to join us out here in the garden. It's a great experience, and out underneath the stars, it's beautiful here. Coffee's great, food is great, people are even better. So there you go.
Amazing people. Definitely.
And I just want to thank Ichi and Bella from Tropical Nomad for doing all the tech side. Great job. Thank you so much, because without you, this wouldn't happen, right? As we said before, it's this jigsaw puzzle of life, and we all have a part to play. And tapping into what we're good at, and taking that little procedure that you mentioned before about just finding out what you're good at, what you excel in. That's your piece. That's your contribution to the whole. True. Right? Yeah. And out of that, again, something is created which is far larger than the sum of its parts. And that's what we're here for. So I'm a massive proponent and believer in aligned collaboration, right? Yeah. Not trying to do everything yourself, but finding those people which, through trust, through that unity in diversity, which I love.
Unity in diversity.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right? People inspire people, unity and diversity, that we can come together and create something masterful and impactful in a positive way for humanity, right? That's what I'm about. That's what this whole thing is about. And before you close, I just want to thank you and acknowledge you for being part of this, right?
Thank you so much.
No,
but first, I want to acknowledge you, because Robert, I think you're so inspiring. You're so amazing. And you don't realize how much this can inspire people. And I'm very honored to be here, actually. But with your intention, and I think your very intuitive to, find different sides of people that can be an inspiration to others. Like, not a lot of people want to attend to that, because it takes a lot of energy, to attend to people like that. So respect to you, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, of course. It's just great.
So now, is there something you'd like to close with, or was that it? I love that, by the way. If you want to close there, you can. But if there's something which you'd like to say, maybe to Indonesia, maybe to the young ones growing up, maybe to women here in Indonesia, something that you feel is important for them coming up in these next generations.
One thing is stay resilient and don't give up, and keep finding little things that give you hope, and hold on to that. And right now everyone needs that. They need to be uplifted, and once you're uplifted, you can go and do bigger things, right? To uplift all other parts of your life, not just mentally, but physically, financially. It all starts from inside first, right? And so keep focusing on the good things in your life right now. Stay grateful that you're still alive and you can still be here. I can still be here with you doing all this right now. And for those people who are actually having an amazing year this year, own it, okay? Don't. So you have to own that. If you're having a great year this year, you have to own it, because we have to realize we're lucky. And that's all I want to say. So stay resilient.
Thank you. Round of applause, guys. Christia.
Thank you so much.
Wow. And Sunday, Kebon.
Oh yeah, see you on Sunday. Buy your tropical shirts. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Man, damn shirts. I love these shirts.
And everybody gets a shirt.
Yeah.